I'd like to say something. It seems to me that Izzy, you've been in Sweden now for 9 or 10 months.
Year and a half.
But it seems to me you've been missing a lot of what's been going on in Sweden because, as you should know, the majority of the Swedish newspapers are owned by the bourgeoisie, the bourgeois establishment, by huge companies, which are also very much involved with American multinational media companies and so on.
Well, I know that.
Yes. Yes, you know that. Yeah. Well, then the logical conclusion is that it's terribly difficult. It's almost impossible for a minority to fight for Swedish music in the radio when the radio and the mass media are owned by the bourgeois establishment, and they have all the power. They have all the printed word.
All the power? 100%?
Yeah, more or less.
If the different music groups work together, instead of being separate music groups, they would have much more power.
Well, that's true. The musicians are bad at organizing.
But you can't.
It shouldn't be just the progressive music and just the fiddle music and just.
You can't just isolate music from what's going on in films. Mr. Seeger just pointed out. You talked about films in Australia and so on. But the fact is that 60% of the money that comes into Swedish theaters goes back to American film companies. So I mean, the Swedish cinema, the Swedish movie culture is completely imperialized by America.
Completely?
Yes, more not 100%.
I really mistrust these absolute statements.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Sweden makes about 5 lousy films a year now.
But you see, I mean, America can decide more or less what's going to be shown in my hometown on the theaters there.
But is that a reason for not doing anything about it?
No, it's not a reason, but I think you have to be clear that.
The defeatist attitude, Izzy's trying to suggest at least a program for action, and you're saying you can't do a damn thing.
There are many people trying to do things, but it takes a lot of time, and it doesn't show. It doesn't show today, it won't show tomorrow.
There's definitely a very important movement growing, people organizing all over Sweden. Non-commercial places for playing music and for playing non-commercial music, folk music, political music, and the people that work most with it are not the professional musicians, the ones that you mean most, but other people, and maybe they play a little themselves, and they sell the musikens, makt, which is the magazine that deals with political music, something like a little like Sing Out magazine.
Music makt.
Which means the power of music.
Mm-hmm. Is there somebody here from that magazine?
Yeah, I remember that magazine.
I can't read Swedish, but I sure like looking through it.
Oh, yeah.
The layout is
Well,
great.
I think, for example, say Musikens Makt. He has a bunch of copies to take back. You describe places where you can hear music.
Yeah.
Now, there's dozens or maybe hundreds of spelmenverbund all around the country that present music regularly. That, like at Farsta, once a month they have a spelmenstämma. At 4 hours, the first hour is all the old people play. The second hour they have guests from all over the country. The third hour they have kaffe and dup, as much as you want. And the fourth hour they have gammeldans, they play all dances. And that costs 5 kronor or 6 kronor. And I think that's people also take the music into their own hands in a completely non-commercial way. Yeah. And that should also be described in Musikens Makt.
And there's many other things that are not in it, that should be in it.
That's what I mean. It shouldn't be just progressive music. It should be any group of people that takes music into their own hands, makes the music for themselves.
Well,
they control it. They should be written up and helped through Musikens Makt. Because you shouldn't reach just progressive people, you have to reach everybody in Sweden.
We could get into a very long discussion of the word progressive.
Yes. No easy answers. I've confessed that I'm of two minds about television sometimes, because I just wish it had never been invented. I'm afraid that it's going to become the greatest weapon of American cultural imperialism. All through the world there are poor nations that are going to get television because American money is going to make it very cheap for them to get television. And up in New York, there'll be somebody who they will appropriate a few $1 million, and they give a television station to this little country. And the little countries say, oh wow, isn't this nice? We also can have television here. And then the states will also sell them sets very cheaply. And then they will also sell them very cheaply tape-recorded programs they can put on their station. And
yes, but Pete, that's a poor country. Sweden is the richest country in the world per capita.
not quite.
I mean, so this country can fight, protect itself.
Yeah.
I mean, when they go into Taiwan, the people had no choice. When the America sent Ruth Benedict, the liberal anthropologist from Columbia University, and General MacArthur, they changed the whole music system in Japan in 1945, and they forbade Japanese music. And they sang Swanee River and Old Black Sails. And I have a Japanese friend who told me, if you ever meet an Asian person, and you're not sure if they're Korean or Chinese or Japanese or Chinese, ask them if they know Way Down Upon the Swanee River. If they know that, then you know the Japanese. Now, Japan was conquered by America in a war.
Actually,
and Sweden...
I think you're wrong. They were singing Swanee River even before then.
Oh, but then it was really incorporated in 1940. Ruth Benedict designed that.
Yeah.
They really incorporated a whole music system which uses only American music. But I'm saying the point is that Japan at least was conquered. And here Sweden is a neutral, fantastically rich country.
Oh me. Well, if you keep on insulting the Swedes enough, perhaps they'll get mad enough to reply to you.
Could we go back to Peter Seeger for a moment? You have been singing now for 30 or more years, and all kinds of songs, ballads, spirituals, cowboy songs, and nursery rhyme, song of trove, etc.
Bad songs and good songs.
Go on, yes. Would you say that if you look back through the years, that you nowadays like and sing the same types of song you did 30 years ago? Or has your attitudes toward the songs and the material changed during your career?
My basic attitudes are very similar. I still like a good melody. I still like a good rhythm, but I've learned a lot more about melodies and rhythms than I knew then. Ewan MacColl and the English singers have taught me a lot about melodies. And the African and the Latin American musicians I've listened to have taught me a lot about rhythm. I still like words that don't strive to be sad or strive to be comic, but in a realistic way tangle it all up together. This is one reason I like the poet Carl Sandburg, is that he had this extraordinary mixture of humor and tragedy mixed together. Bertolt Brecht has this also. And I think Woody Guthrie also got this feeling of humor and tragedy. Woody was always cracking jokes. Some of them very trivial little things, but to live with Woody was to be laughing all the time at puns, word jokes, all sorts of jokes. And so I think I still have this same taste. The best humor has a serious purpose, I think. And often the best tragedy has this humor tangled up with it. So I guess I sing a lot of the same songs. Some of my favorite songs are still ones that I learned 30 or 40 years ago, and I still play them. So I'm afraid I haven't learned anything in 30 years, basically.